So, let's jump right into this explainer and demystify one of the absolute most powerful tools in your coding arsenal, the function. Look, if you're sitting there in your introduction to programming class right now, staring at a massive, messy wall of text on your screen, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to learn how to organize, optimize, and just completely supercharge your code across three of the world's most popular languages. Imagine you're writing a program. Maybe it's a calculator, maybe it's a game, and you find yourself copying and pasting the exact same lines of code over and over again just to do one simple task. It makes your file endlessly long, incredibly hard to read, and honestly, a total nightmare to fix if you find a bug. It's a hugely frustrating problem, but it's one that literally every single beginner faces. Thankfully, programming languages were built with a really clever way out of this trap.
Enter our hero, the function. A function is exactly what it sounds like. It's a smaller, self-contained, completely reusable block of code. It's the ultimate solution to repetition. Instead of writing that same math equation or text prompt 20 times, you write it once, you wrap it up inside a function, and then you just call it by its name whenever you need it to do its job. It keeps everything neat, tidy, and incredibly efficient. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the power of functions, the anatomy of a function, compare how they look in C++, Java, and Python, and wrap up with void versus value returning functions.
Section 1. The power of functions.
Think of a function kind of like a reusable architectural blueprint. I mean, you wouldn't draw an entirely new set of blueprints every time you wanted to build identical houses in a neighborhood, right? No, you do the hard work of designing the blueprint just once. After that, you hand it to the builders, and they can easily build it as many times as your project needs. Functions do exactly this for your software. You design the logic once, and the computer builds it out perfectly every single time you ask.
Moving on to Section 2, the anatomy of a function.
Okay, so the crucial point here is that no matter what language you're typing in, every function follows this exact chronological workflow. First, you declare its rules in the header. This tells the computer the function's name, the type of data it's going to give back, and what inputs or parameters it needs to work. Second, you build the actual logic in the definition. This is the body, the real meat of the function where the work actually gets done. And finally, you execute it using a call. This happens in your main program when you actually want the function to run and do its magic.
Let's actually translate those three conceptual steps into a generic syntax structure so you can see it. Look at the header, int add numbers. That tells us we're making a function that gives back an integer, and it needs two integers, a and b, as its inputs. Now the definition inside the brackets simply says return a plus b. That's the engine of the function right there. And the call at the bottom, that is where you actually turn the key, passing the real numbers 5 and 3 into the function, and storing the result in a brand new variable called sum.
Let's dive into Section 3, comparing three coding languages. As a beginner, you might feel a little intimidated by having to learn multiple languages at once, but you're going to love how clearly these languages distinguish themselves across three main battlegrounds: execution order, typing, and syntax. Once you get the rules of engagement for these three specific areas, translating between languages becomes an absolute breeze.
Let's start with type declarations. There is a really sharp contrast here. C++ and Java are what we call strongly typed languages. They demand explicit data types upfront. You literally have to tell them, hey, this function gives back an integer, or hey, this input is a double. Python, on the other hand, it takes a much more relaxed approach by inferring types automatically. You don't have to declare a return type at all in the header. Python just naturally figures it out on the fly.
Now, execution order is incredibly important. Python scripts run strictly top to bottom. That means if you want to call a function on line 20, Python must have already read the definition of that function somewhere on lines 1 through 19. The definition absolutely must come before the call. C++ and Java are a bit more flexible with this. They can actually call functions defined at the very bottom of your file, provided you've set up your class structures correctly in Java or provided a prototype at the top of your file in C++.
Finally, visual structure is key here. I mean, how does the computer know where your function starts and ends? C++ and Java lock their code blocks safely inside curly braces. Everything inside those braces belongs to the function. Python abandons the braces entirely. Instead, it forces you to use exactly 4-space indentation to define the function body. If it's indented, it's part of the function. If it's not, it's outside. It essentially forces you to write visually clean code.
And our last section, number 4, void versus value returning functions.
Across all of these languages, you really have two primary behavioral choices for your functions.
First, you have void functions. Think of these as your action takers. They simply execute a task, like printing a name to the screen or changing a color, but they don't actually give any data back to the main program. Second, you have value returning functions. These are your calculators. They crunch the numbers, process the data, and then explicitly hand a value back to whoever called them.
Let's look at this through the lens of C++. In C++, you explicitly write the word void in the header if you want a function to simply output, say, hello, my name is Alex. But if you want to calculate a sum, you'd swap that void out for an int return type. And remember our execution order rule, in C++, this function has to be defined above your main program block, or you have to leave a prototype up top so the compiler knows it exists before it tries to run it.
Shifting over to Java, things get a slightly more, corporate structure. In Java, functions are actually called methods, and they're never allowed to just float around freely. They are always securely housed inside a class structure. Also, if you're writing a simple program and calling these methods directly from your main execution block, you have to include the static keyword in your header. So your void function might look something like public static void write my name. And then leaping into Python, everything drops the heavy armor. It begins simply with the def keyword, short for define. Whether you're writing a void function to print text or a value returning function to add two numbers, it's just def function name. No void, no static, no int. Just beautifully clean code executing smoothly from top to bottom. But again, remember, you must define it above the line where you actually call it.
Quick reference for students.
You might actually want to pause the explainer or screenshot this right now. This is essentially your master translation guide between the strict explicit structure of C++ and Java and the streamlined indented syntax of Python. Notice how int add two numbers, with its explicit types, translates simply to def add underscore two numbers in Python. Notice how those curly braces disappear completely in favor of indentation. This is your cheat sheet for seamlessly moving between these incredible languages.
So, let's bring it all home. We've explored the anatomy of headers, definitions, and calls. We've seen how languages mandate syntax, typing, and order. Now that you truly understand the mechanics of writing cleaner, more efficient, and easily debuggable code for your class, the only question left for your own programming project is this: what tedious, repetitive task are you going to replace today, and which reusable blueprint will you build first? Keep coding, and I'll see you in the next explainer.